nation turns its back on its brightest star. What does it take to fall from the very top, not slowly, not quietly, but in one explosive moment that feels like the end of everything? And more importantly, how do you come back when the world has already written your final chapter? Today on Buzz and Tea, we're diving into a story that shook China's entertainment industry to its core: the rise, the devastating fall, and the comeback that no one saw coming. This is the story of Xiao Zhan, the idol who had it all, lost almost everything overnight, and returned stronger than ever. If you followed CN even casually, you already know his name. But what you may not fully understand is how close he came to disappearing completely. Before the chaos, before the headlines, before the online storm, Xiao Zhan was China's golden boy. He wasn't born into fame. He wasn't a child star raised under studio lights. In fact, before stepping into entertainment, he was studying design and working a regular job. Imagine that: a future megastar sketching designs in an office, unaware that millions would one day chant his name. In 2015, he debuted as part of the boy group X9 after participating in the survival show X Fire. But let's be honest, his early days weren't explosive. There were no screaming airport mobs yet, no record-breaking statistics. He was just another hopeful trainee trying to survive in a brutally competitive industry. Then came 2019, and everything changed. When Xiao Zhan starred as Wei Wuxian in the drama The Untamed, alongside Wang Yibo, the show didn't just become popular, it became a cultural phenomenon. Adapted from the novel Modao Zushi, the drama captured hearts across China and internationally. Suddenly, Xiao Zhan wasn't just an actor. He was everywhere. Brand endorsements? Countless. Magazine covers? Sold out in minutes. Social media followers? Exploding by the millions. He topped popularity charts consistently. His Weibo engagement broke records. Luxury brands fought to associate with his image. He was clean-cut, talented, polite, the perfect commercial star. Let me ask you, have you ever seen someone rise so fast that it almost feels unreal? That was Xiao Zhan in 2019. It was like watching a rocket launch with no gravity holding it back. But in early 2020, gravity hit hard. It started with fan fiction. Yes, fan fiction. An online story that reimagined Xiao Zhan in a controversial way began circulating on the Chinese platform AO3, Archive of Our Own. Some fans found it creative, others found it offensive. What happened next would spiral far beyond anyone's expectations. Certain fans reportedly began mass reporting the platform to authorities, accusing it of inappropriate content. Soon after, AO3 was blocked in mainland China. And here's where everything turned. Instead of directing anger at those specific fans, a massive wave of netizens blamed Xiao Zhan himself. Think about that. He didn't write the story. He didn't promote it. He didn't comment on it. Yet suddenly, his name became attached to the controversy. Online outrage snowballed. Hashtags calling for boycotts trended. Brands started quietly distancing themselves. Endorsements were paused or canceled. Scheduled appearances vanished. The backlash was relentless. It wasn't just criticism. It was digital warfare. Every post he made was flooded with negativity. Every brand associated with him faced pressure. Anti-fans organized campaigns. The phrase 227 incident became synonymous with his downfall. Can you imagine waking up one day to find that millions of strangers are blaming you for something you never even controlled? The silence from his side made it worse. For weeks, there was no public statement. And in the hyper-fast world of online outrage, silence can feel like guilt, even when it's not. Finally, in April 2020, Xiao Zhan released a public apology. He expressed regret for the chaos caused by fan behavior and acknowledged the impact on society. But for many, it felt too late. At that point, he had become a symbol, not just a person. He represented toxic fandom culture, unchecked celebrity influence, and online mob mentality. Whether that was fair or not didn't seem to matter. And here's the truth that most people don't talk about. In China's entertainment industry, once you fall, you rarely come back. Cancellations aren't always temporary. Public sentiment is powerful. Government regulations are strict. Brands are cautious. So when Xiao Zhan went quiet, really quiet, many assumed that was it. Game over. But behind the silence, something else was happening. Instead of fighting publicly, instead of arguing online, instead of engaging in the chaos, Xiao Zhan focused on work, stage performances, music releases, carefully chosen projects. He rebuilt slowly, not through loud statements, but through consistent presence. And then came 2021. The drama The Oath of Love, co-starring Yang Zi, became one of the most anticipated projects of the year. Despite delays and lingering controversy, the show performed strongly upon release. Viewership numbers were solid, discussions shifted. People started saying something unexpected. Maybe he didn't deserve what happened. Isn't it fascinating how public opinion can change? The same internet that destroys can also forgive, but only if you survive long enough. Then came Dulo Continent, another major production that showcased his acting range. The numbers spoke louder than arguments ever could. Gradually, brands returned, magazine covers came back, concert tickets sold out again. The same industry that had once distanced itself began welcoming him back. But this wasn't the same Xiao Zhan as 2019. There was something different. More cautious, more controlled, more mature. If 2019 Xiao Zhan was explosive, 2022 Xiao Zhan was strategic. He no longer relied solely on idol popularity. He leaned into acting credibility. He diversified his roles. He avoided unnecessary controversy. Interviews were thoughtful. Public appearances were polished but reserved. And here's what shocked many observers. His fan base didn't disappear during the storm. In fact, in some ways, it became stronger. Loyal fans organized charity projects in his name. They emphasized positive behavior. They distanced themselves from the chaos of the past. The narrative slowly shifted from problematic idol to resilient survivor. Let me ask you something. Do you think the comeback would have been possible without that loyal core support? Or was it his personal strategy that saved him? Maybe it was both. Because here's the deeper layer to this story. Xiao Zhan's fall wasn't just about fandom. It exposed how fragile celebrity status can be in the digital age. One viral moment, one misdirected wave of outrage, one narrative that spirals, and everything can collapse. Yet his comeback proved something else. Silence, patience, and consistent work can sometimes outlast noise. Today, Xiao Zhan stands as one of China's top actors again. He continues to headline major productions, dominate brand rankings, and command massive online engagement. But the shadow of 2020 remains part of his legacy, and maybe that's not a bad thing. Because without the fall, the comeback wouldn't feel this powerful. Without the silence, the resilience wouldn't feel this earned. When you watch him now, calm, composed, almost guarded, you can't help but wonder what those months of isolation felt like. What it's like to see your name trending for all the wrong reasons. What it's like to question whether your dream is over. We often glamorize celebrity life. The lights, the money, the fame, but we rarely talk about the psychological toll of public condemnation. Xiao Zhan never gave explosive interviews about the pain. He didn't publicly attack critics. He didn't stage dramatic comebacks. He endured. And sometimes, endurance is louder than revenge. His story also changed how Chinese fandom culture operates. Platforms implemented stricter regulations. Celebrities became more cautious about guiding fan behavior. Brands reevaluated crisis management strategies. The industry learned from his fall. And ironically, his suffering may have contributed to a more controlled entertainment environment. Now, here's the question I want you to think about. Was the backlash truly about morality, or was it about the power struggle between fandom communities? In hyperdigital spaces, narratives are weapons, and Xiao Zhan became collateral damage in a war he didn't start. Yet he survived it. That alone is remarkable. From near blacklisting to topping popularity charts again, from brand withdrawals to luxury endorsements returning, from silence to sold-out performances. That's not just recovery, that's reinvention. So when people say the fall that almost ended him and the comeback that shocked China, it's not exaggeration. It was a real fall and a very real comeback. And maybe the most surprising part? He never publicly framed it as a comeback. He simply kept working. No dramatic redemption arc, no villain to hero speech, just persistence. So Buzz and T family, I want to hear from you. Do you think Xiao Zhan was unfairly blamed? Do you believe celebrities should be responsible for their fans' actions? And if you were in his position, would you have fought back publicly or stayed silent and rebuilt quietly? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because in the end, this isn't just a story about one Chinese superstar. It's a story about how fragile fame is. It's a story about online power. It's a story about resilience. And it's a reminder that sometimes the comeback doesn't come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with patience. And sometimes that patience shocks an entire nation.